Hey there, this is a complete beginner's guide to tracking user interaction in your Glideapps. Specifically, we'll be looking at how to use Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager to monitor these activities within our app. Over the course of the next hour, we're going to cover events, triggers, tags, variables, and really just the important stuffs. I'll even cover how to transform your data into a custom report that can then be viewed in your Google Sheets. This is one of the most recent courses in this specific category. So if you want to go from a no level role to a beginner or intermediate level, then this video is for you. All right, let's get started. Why are we using Google Analytics for our use case? Well, Google Analytics is to track users' interaction on your website. Now, I'm sure I don't really have to explain what Google Analytics is and why you should use it for your use case, because I'm 99% sure you are using it to track users' activities on your website, right? And what can we track? Where we can track user scroll, that's the scroll depth, the pages they visit, what country they are visiting from, and the specific action they take when using our app, right? And also because it's readily available in Glide, so that's one of the reasons why we also use Google Analytics. If we are using Google Analytics, then why do we also have to use Google Tag Manager? Or like, what is the use between the both of them, and what is the difference? Well, in order to answer correctly what the difference are between both tools and why didn't we just select one, we first have to understand the purpose of one of a single tool. And so now, what is Google Analytics itself? Right now, just for the differentiation between Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager, we have to know what they are and understand what each of them do. So Google Analytics is like the main dashboard that displays each data, right? So like Google Analytics is used to track the website traffic and the behavior, right? So its main role is just to generate reports and statistics from the user through some tags, while Google Tag Manager is just a tool that helps us manage these tags more efficiently. Now you could like set custom actions for these specific tags, and Google Tag Manager is really just more simplified, where you are having or where you could easily group your tags in a simple array or in a simple manner, right? Rather than having all your tags just occupied or non-aligned in your Google Analytics. So what I want to show you briefly is a custom event, that's a custom scenario that I already built previously. I just to see how it works and just to have an idea on what we'll be able to build by the end of this video. First thing, let's head over to our Glide, and this is just the simple action that's running on this app, where we just have a detailed screen, and after the detailed screen, we are sending a custom event to Google Tag Manager, which is then sending into Google Analytics. Now let's head back to Google Tag Manager. And Google Tag Manager, this is the event that's currently running, GA4 selected article. Now if we head over to, and the event name is actually called selected article. And so you see here, selected article, that's the whole group of events, right? Not just a single event, the whole group. Now if we head over here and we go to our Google Analytics, we could head over to reports, and now be under events. So now our custom event here is called select article. Okay, so this is the event that I've run in the last 30 minutes. It do take a while for the event to be updated, and that is within 24 to 48 hours. But we're not really waiting for that, so we're just going to test it initially. Okay, so now let's test our app. It is over here, and I will head over to one page. And let's say I want to work with the Persian cats. Okay, so you can see here that an action I've run because we have a detailed screen, and once the detailed screen is clicked, we are sending a custom event to Google Analytics. Now we head over to Google Analytics. Now this should be updated to about 4. Yeah, 4. And then we could check the item category. So you can see a cat. We just selected the cat, and you could also check the item category 2, which should be a Persian cat. Awesome. Now at the end of this video, we're going to be able to send all these event parameters to a custom sheet or a custom report, where we can be able to easily monitor and track everything that's going on. Now, if this does excite you and this is what you're looking for, maybe not exactly what you're looking for, but a beginner's guide or a step where you are trying to move on to, then do stick around because this is a very detailed and extremely long tutorial. All right. So let's begin a completely new setup so you'll be able to follow along and know how we can follow through. Now let's first head over to our Google Analytics over here. And so I selected, so assuming you're at home, then you select this admin. All right. Now, two things you could select are the create a new account or create a new property. Now, assuming if you haven't created anything with Google Analytics, well, then you could just create a new property, right? Either creating a property or an account, it will still be the same thing. But assuming if you have different clients, where each client you'd want them to view a specific report, or just to make everything minute to the last detail for a specific client, right? Then you just go through with account. So right now, I would go through with account instead. For a use case, you could probably create a new property. So let's say I select accounts, right? Now I'm going to have to completely set up a new account. So we're going to call this test Phillips here. Okay. No. And I'll just select next. Property name, also going to call this. So creating a new account will also follow along with creating a new property. So property name, let's call this test Phillips here. Okay. Time zone, yeah, this could be okay. British pound. We could use the US dollar. Okay, next. And industry category for this specific use case, we're using the pets and animals, just like that. And small, it's literally just me. Okay, now what do we want to use this for? I think it's really just for traffic. It just depends on what you whatever you wish to use it and do. For me, it's just to measure traffic. Now, so just create. Okay, yes, I accept all the terms, and also you could change it to whatever you wish to change it to, right? And I said accept. Awesome. So now a property have been created. The next thing you want to do, because we are working in Glide, then you'd have to use a web application. If you're using a completely no code builder like Flutterflow, then we could either select one of these three, depending on whatever use case you're trying to do. But I think um a web app could also work. But for Glide specifically, we're using a web app because Glide is a web application, not an application that could be on your mobile store, right? Then we select web and we just input our website. So we have to get our website URL and we're going to head over to our Glideapps that's over here. And then I just share and I copy this test link, copy that link, head over back to my analytics and just paste that URL here. That's that. So I'm going to remove the protocol. Awesome. I'll just call this test Petland. Or let's use the same name we've been using all along, test Phillips care. Actually, we should have called the property Petland, right? So I'll just leave that alone. I'll be great. Continue. All right, awesome. So now we just have this now. So you probably get a pop-up like this, and what will come up is just some properties data, right? So now this is your tag ID, or this is your tag, right? Your Google Analytics tag. And what this tag does, it would allow Google to monitor user interaction on your websites, right? Now, because we're working in Glide, there's really no space for us to use this tag. Instead, what we are going to use is just this measurement ID here. But but this is not where you copy that from. So you just have to close this, and then we'd have a new pop-up. And what we're getting is this measurement ID. So you just copy this measurement, you just copy this measurement ID, head over to your Glide apps, head over to integrations, and that will be settings, integrations, and that's Google Analytics over here. Add to app, and we just write a measurement ID there. I'll just paste that. Awesome. Now that will be saved. Yeah, so that's already saved. And I could head over back to my analytics tab, and it will take within 24 to 48 hours for the whole system to be up and running. So in the meantime, we could also do the same system for our Google Tag Manager. Awesome. So now we have this set up. We just exit and you select next. So data collection is pending and go to home. All right. So now we've linked Google Analytics, right? Now it's time for us to link Google Tag Manager. And in order for us to do this, we're also going to create a new account. right? So now, one thing you should note is we're going to head over to admin. While we're going to create a new account, I should definitely let you know, while Google Analytics is to properties, right? Then we have Google Tag Manager to containers. So Google Analytics read properties, Google Tag Manager reads containers, right? So that's something like that should be cleared out here. Okay, so I want to create a new account, and let's call this account Test Philips Care. All right, should honestly, and our website URL would really just be, we head over to our Glideapps, and what we do here now is we copy our URL, let's copy our test link, and we head over to Google Tag Manager and we paste the link here. All right, so we have to get rid of the protocol, and yeah, awesome, for web and create. So we accept everything. Yes, please create my account. Okay, so it takes a while. Booyah. Now we have, yeah. Now what you should know is Google Tag Manager and Google Analytics works alike, right? As in Google Analytics, you need to paste some kind of JavaScript in the header and the body of your pages, same as Google Tag Manager, right? But because we're in Glide, we can't write these values directly there. What we get is actually just the Google Tag Manager ID, which is here. So this is the specific ID for our app or for our current container. I'm just copy this and I head over to my Glideapps integrations. That'll be Google Analytics, which is supposed to be awesome. Now we add to app and just paste this here. So that is linked over in Google. Yeah, so I have to copy the site URL again. So over in Google Tag Manager, what we just have to do is paste this URL here. And I'm going to say, please test my app or please test my connection. Either way works. So I mean, I instantly just did this with Glide and Google Analytics. I'm quite surprised it's got linked. So here you can see they are linked. Okay. Now what we could do again to make sure they are linked, right, is to just select this preview button. So we just select preview, and then we're taken to a new page. Okay, so we test the sites we're trying to connect with, and that's our test app. We select connect. All right. So probably get a pop-up like that, and then you'll be redirected to a new screen. And booyah, we're in a new screen now, so you can probably get a pop-up like this. And if you don't really have to worry. As long as it could redirect you here, that means it's working perfectly. So booyah, stuff now works fine, which is actually awesome, right? Okay, now we head over back to our Google Tag Manager, and yeah, so let's head over to the next step. All right, now we've successfully linked Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager to our Glideapps, right? So the next thing we have to do now is to be able to make sure we're able to send data from our Glide app to Google Tag Manager, and then we'll configure sending data from Google Tag Manager to Google Analytics. All right, so let's get started. There are certain components you have to know in order to work correctly in um, Google Tag Manager, right? And we're going to go over these components. And the thing is, the better you know them, that is more efficiently you'll be able to work in Google Tag Manager, right? Okay, so let's get through them. First, we have tags. Tags are basically just snippets of code or tracking pixels on our website or web app. And yeah, so here's an example. For instance, we send a page view or event data to Google Analytics. That's the basic idea of how tag works. While triggers on their own are when and where your tag should be fired, right? So you could set conditions for your triggers. A common type of trigger is like a page view trigger, and this fires when a user visits a specific page, or a scroll depth trigger. This is when a user scrolls down to a certain percentage of the page. Advised to use simple triggers in Glideapps, while the more complex triggers that you can't really navigate on in Google Tag Manager. But it's 100% better to create triggers in a section where you will know more information about. And in this use case, it will be Glideapps, because I am definitely sure you know how to maneuver Glide in one way or the other, right? So an example would be, let's say we have two users, right? One is a chemist and the other is a vet. Now, the vet, let's say the vet has more authority, right? So we want to be able to fire a trigger like, so let's say the vet has more authority, right? And let's say when a vet clicks on a certain section, you want to know when a vet clicks on it, right? So that's a general idea. And lastly, we have variables. Now, variables are just like writing dynamic. They're just trying to like change dynamic data. For instance, let's say, for instance, each page has its own URL. So like, there's no definite URL for each page. So we can't. So on each page, we can't send the same page URL to Google Tag Manager, right? That is what, like, then what's the point in using our app, right? So what we have to do is we set variables, and variables are the dynamic data that changes. So now putting them together, tags are the what action should happen. Triggers are the when the tag should fire. Variables are the how, and that's dynamic data needed for tags and triggers to function properly. And a basic example, right, would be, let's say we have a Google Analytics tag that tracks a button click, a trigger that fires when a button is clicked, and a variable that dynamically captures the button text or URL. So now we're back in Google Tag Manager, and what we just want to do now is just create a new tag that we can just see if it even works, right? We head over to new, and that'll be tag configuration. We select Google Analytics, and then we select Google Tag over here. Once changes, you want to leave, once changes, stay. All right. Now, what I want to get is my Google Tag ID. Then I head over to my analytics. Now, I did head over here before, and what happens was, I'm quite surprised because it didn't even take up to 24 hours for my data to be live or for Google Analytics to connect successfully to my app. But either way, it works now, and that's cool. Then I just copy this ID here, as that's the tag ID. Then I head over to Google Tag Manager back, over here, and write my tag ID. Yeah. All right. And that is literally just it. So I don't make any more settings. And trigger would just be, well, and for triggers, we're just going to select initialization on all pages. Select that and save. So let's call this Google Tag, or we could call it Google Tag Best, right? Just something like that. Save that. Now our tag has been made. All right, so I had to drop my screen a little just to see this process on how it works, right? Not to be confused here. Okay, now we already have this tag, and remember, you are to never select submit immediately. Instead, what you want to select is preview. Also, preview, you can test it live and see if it works. Right then, once you see it work, we then submit to Google Analytics. So we select preview, and we're taken to some kind of new page here. Then we have to select our website, and we select on connect. Okay. Now, if we do head over here on time, and then just select continue. So Google Tag, yeah. So probably it's picked up now. And what we have here is just some definite values here. So you can see score rate is kind of like empty and content initial. So these are just like the basic things that run in the header. Now, if I do head over to the page, and you can see now I have made an interaction on this page because I waited for it to load, and now I'm scrolling on the page. So if I head over back here, notice it's been populated, and now we have scrolls. Okay, we have some scrolls, and you can see scroll threshold 90%, triggers 10, percentage scrolled 90. So I've scrolled here already, and load, I think I waited for it to load completely. Scroll direction vertical. So that has been registered. And if I do head over here now and I just select, probably if I select like let's say German Shepherd, and would the trigger run there? I'm not quite sure. Okay, yeah. So no triggers has been run because we haven't set any more tag. Right. So because this is the only tag, and what this tag does is just like the basics, which is scroll, um, scrolls, load and navigate. Was it navigate? Yeah, just like vertical and title. So it doesn't really do anything more than that. And this is what would show in if you check the Google Analytics. And that's just how to see how a tag works. And also you could check for, and also because I went back and forth, we had something like the new URL of the page and the new page location. Okay, and if you possibly see this like not connected, what you just have to select is reopen, right? Then to just like refresh, you could come over here back and then it should work. So this is our new stuff. Then okay, so this is the previous one, this is the old refresh, this is the new refresh. We head over here now, just wait for this to load. We see this. And we select version. We head over back. So I'll just populate it. So you just issue change triggers 13, probably 13 triggers happened. Yeah. And since we do know it's working perfectly now, what we could just select is submit. And we'll just give it a name. Let's call this the same name as here. So this Google page or best tag made. You also give it a description. Now, what the purpose of this is just to make sure you know, like, you know the specific status or the specific version of the current updates, which you may like kind of like app version, right? Or you have version 1, version 1.2, so you can easily roll back to a previous version, right? So this is our first. This is our first tag. Awesome. Okay, so this is live, and we just select publish. Like right now, you could just like sing like no one's listening. Okay, so we have 5 variables launched, and yeah, so this is events, event host name, event path, event URL, separate path, page URL, and refer. Awesome. So we have a second version of our app, which is currently live. Now, finally, we head over to events. Now, what are events? Well, events are basically triggers, right? So yeah, triggers, we could call them triggers, we could call them events. It really just depends on whichever you wish, right? So they're just like basic actions taken by users, like clicking a button, and then Google Tag Manager can then listen for this event and probably just trigger a tag when the user makes an action, right? Why are triggers important? They allow you to collect more granular data about how users interact with your website or web or app. They help trigger tags based on user interaction, ensuring that data is sent to analytics and marketing platforms in real time. And finally, you can use event data to optimize user experience, improve marketing effort, and track conversion more effectively. I'm guessing that's why you are even considering using Google Analytics. All right, so now let's head over to Google Tag Manager right here. And this is triggers, right? So if we do select add new trigger, what we could have is all these basic triggers, and these are the default triggers given to us by Google. For instance, we could track all links, that's all links on our app, right? We can select all links, and yeah, so we can just select all the links on our app. So it will trigger when we select a link, right? We could also select a YouTube video. For instance, assume you have a YouTube video. You could track when the user views a certain portion of the video and when they stop, or really just anything, right? And yeah, so it really just depends. But now we have something called custom event. Now, custom events are events that are not in Google Tag Manager. They are not currently present in Google Tag Manager, but you need them but you need to get that value or that information from your app, right? And that's how we work in Glide. Now, how does that work? We head over to our Glideapps, nope, our main Glide dashboard. All right. Now, what we do add over here would be called Google custom events. So we're going to add a custom event, and that is also called a custom trigger. Now, how this works is, let's say a user is on this page, and we're setting the action or the Google trigger in this main page, right? So if a user selects this, then they show a detailed screen, right? So if we do go back now, so now I have over here, and my actions is click break, so I could edit workflow, and that's the action I'm currently working on. So then I just select track custom event, and the event name which I'll call would be, let's call this track articles. So we just call it track articles, right? Or track species. I think track species has a better idea to it. Okay. Now we could add values to this species. For instance, we could add the breed ID, we could add the breed look. But for this use case, what I want to add is called the breed, and I want to add the species, right? So I get the breed from my table, and that's from look breed, that's the lookup of the breed. My species will be from lookup of the species. So if we head over to my light table here, that's over here, articles, here we have as look breed and look species. Now back to workflow. And really that's all you have to do in Google in Glide, right? So Glide really doesn't have any more harder process to walk through. Once you've been able to have this, then just send that event to Google Tag Manager. Awesome. Now we head over back to Google Tag Manager. And what we could do now is we create a new event. And we just call this event track species. As all custom events, this trigger fires on all custom events. You could set when it fires, for instance, we can say when the page URL contains like, let's say, glide, right? But that's not what we're doing. So to fire all on its own, like all custom events to fire. Then we can like save. And let's call this page or this event called track species. Then we'll just add one more. Let's just say events. Save that. We have a custom event already. So before I proceed further, one thing you have to know that's very important to know is the value over in triggers, that's our specific events. Our custom event now, the value in event name, it has to be the same value in our Glideapps event track species. So this has to be the same name, or else then we'll be able to send, because we still have to do some further customization, and then we'll be able to send that data back to Google Analytics. All right. Now I've cleared the idea. So over here now, one thing you notice is, okay, now let's just preview this. Continue. Where was our page? And we select, let's say we select the bulldog. Okay, over here now, track species, variables, and detail here. Yeah, so now we just have event model breed under, that's breed and species. So now we have to pass our values over to variables in order for us to see that in Google Analytics. And that's what the real metrics is, right? So the real metrics, the real information we're trying to get is what we passed over from our glide apps over here, right? So let's find out how we can do that. So to do that, we have to select variables, and this is where variables come into play. Okay, so now we have two type of variables. These are built-in variables, and these are variables already provided by Google. Next, we have user-defined variables, and these are variables we want to get from our own specific data. So I'm going to select new, and this will be variable configuration. Now, don't get overwhelmed by this. This is actually overwhelming at first, but depending on what you want to use it for, the more you spend time with Google Analytics or Google Tag Manager, then you'll be able to know exactly what you want to get, right? So for this specific use case, what we are working on is the data layer variable. So this tag or this variable type is to get data, any information really under the data layer. But what you have to get is the data layer field. For here, we are going to get the event model, because that is where our breed and species are stored under. So we get the event model, copy that over here, and I paste this here. Now, because now if I were to structure this in a right format, you notice breed is under event model and species is also under event model, right? So what you should note is species is not under breed. So now because we already have that information in our heads, I just select breed, and I'm going to add a full stop, and I paste my breed. And that's really all there is to it. So we're going to call this track species and breed. I'll just save that. Awesome. I do the same thing again to get the species. I'll be data layer. I'll be event model dot my species here. Species. Now remember, if species was indeed under breed, what this would be event model dot breed dot species. But because that's not the case, it's just event model dot species, and I'll call this track species name. I won't call this track species because that will kind of like be hard to follow. I mean, it's not really bad in itself. I select save. Awesome. Now, just know this actually took me hours on hours to get it through, but it feels so good to know it works fine. Now, what we select is preview. Okay, so we select preview there, and we select continue. Remember, we're kind of like testing now to make sure it works before we send it to Google Analytics. So where about our app? Okay, now we're in our app now, and I want to select the Persian cat. I'll just select the Persian cat here, and we are look at that. Okay, so now we head over to track species. Over in data layer, you can see we have breed Persian and species cat. And over in variables, we have track species breed. Just ignore this Persian, which is our exact value from Glideapps, and species name is cat. Like, how cool is that, right? So now we can be able to get our specific data from Glideapps to Google Tag Manager, which is cool. Next, we have to focus on sending that value to Google Analytics to our reports or whatever we want to do with that information. All right, awesome. So our event is now working perfectly. So I could also do is just like to test random values. I could select, let's say I head over here back, and I select the bird. This is the sun corner. Okay, we select that. We head over back and we select. Let's say we want to work on the pot belly. It should be a pig. Yeah. Okay. Next we select the air rabbits lizard. Next we select red. Okay, this was what you just selected. We select the canary. We head over back. Select the dwarf. Dwarf is a hamster. Okay, so do forgive Pixels. Pixels really didn't get the photo. I think because I didn't really specify the kind of photo I want. Right, I just sent it a dwarf. So it had to guess what dwarf did I mention. I've sent it something like a dwarf hamster. That was my bad actually. Okay. And we said American. This is an American guinea pig, not the American flag. Okay. So now when we revert back to Google Tag here, our tag assistant, we could check from the last, let's say we have track species, should be American guinea pig. Awesome. If we go over to the next, we have the dwarf hamster, also accurate. Wherever to the next, we have a canary bird. Next, we have um red head slider. And finally, we have the red head slider also because we selected red head slider twice. So that's why we have two red head slider that didn't change here and here. Okay. Now, if you did send the time, you notice the time will be different, but we aren't really sending the time. You could always do that yourself. But now we already have an idea on how to work on that. So we just send something like current time, right? That would also work fine. I mean, if we head over here and we add a new value, we could add current date and time, right? You just add that and you pass that. Not the exact time the user clicked on that. Now that we're done with all that, we want to be able to pass the value from Google Tag Manager directly into Google Analytics. So to do that, we have to set up a tag. And this is where tag comes into play. So we have to add a new tag and we also add a new tag. And this will be tag configuration. Once select Google Analytics and really not the first, but this time the second, which is a GA4 event. You know, we're now working with Google Analytics 4 and this is GA4. So that's what we're working on now. Then you're going to select Google Analytics GA4 events and your measurement ID is your Google Analytics ID. So you could always just go to your Glideapps, and I think it's more easier for me to find it here. I have my integrations, Google Analytics. I'll just copy my value here, and I'll just write that here. Event name would be, let's call this test Phillips. Event parameters settings or event setting variable will be none. Well, for our event parameters, what we want to select would be add a parameter. Yeah. Now, for the parameters, actually, there's a whole different idea behind setting up parameters. So now, when we're working with the event parameters, right, Google Tag Manager expect us to use its own amongst its own list of verified properties, which means can we really make something custom to ourselves? I don't really think so, right? But here are all the specific event item properties we can use. This is a whole list of recommended events from Google Tag Manager. So here are they. So we'll just move up. I think because okay, I'm just gonna clear this. Right. All right. So now assume you're trying to like get currency, then the events current the parameter name you use will be currency. Or if it's something, yeah, so you be currency and that's that. Or if you have a list of items, then you use an item. So for me specifically, what I want to or how I want to work this out would be just something that I can use instantly. So you can just see the example here and just select something that actually fits your use case. Now for me, What I would select would be item category, and I'll select item category too. I could use item brand and item category. I'll select that, and that'll be under event parameters. I'll use item brand, and my item brand here would be for my variable, which would be my track species name, because this is like a brand, cats, parrots, dog. That's the idea. I'm going to select that. You can see it's marked check because this is a known parameter. So imagine if I did select a new parameter and I call this track bridge. Now, I am unsure if this would work. I mean, it should work, right? It just really depends. But it's not like preferable to follow a known parameter. Now, let's select item category, and we're just going to use item category, okay? And the variable name here would be the bridge. Every other item there will be empty. For instance, we're going to leave this empty. More settings will be empty, and advanced settings will also be empty. Next, we set a trigger, like what trigger will make this run. And the trigger that will make this run would be track event species. This is a custom event that's coming from Glideapps. So now we get this trigger, and that's really all there is to it. We name our tag. Let's call this J4, and that's track species events. All right, and I just save this. Awesome. So right after this video, I did do some checking, and I found out I was actually wrong in a certain aspect, right? And that's for the event parameters. We don't have to name our event parameters according to Google's terms or according to the whole list of valid parameter name Google has registered with themselves, right? It could really be anything we wish to make it be. It could be track species name as the event parameters. It could be just species. It could be just breed. It could be testing one, testing two. It could really be anything as long as it's valid. But and it doesn't have to show this check mark, right? So probably, but till the end of this video, we're still going to make use of this exact event parameters. But we already do get the idea of that. This can be customized to however you wish for it to be. Now this is done. We could then select preview. Right. So while this works, okay, it seems like close analytics tab. I'll just open analytics again. But now when I head over to my tab, right, and I head over to tab real-time overview, and this is over under events. You can see here. Right now you could see this is value that occurred in the last 30 minutes or rather in the last 5 minutes. So this is me, the page, right, petland test, and the track species. We could see that now where the values which we just selected was species. Yeah, so this was all the previous stuff we selected previously and breed. So this is like the previous values we selected. So now you can see your previous um events count and all of that. All right, now that we're done with that, we want to be able to view our parameters in the custom reports. In summary, what we want is to be able to track how many people click on a specific breed or a specific pet. All right, so let's get started. Okay, now we are actually in the final stage of this tutorial, and that just to view our data in the custom reports. Because if you don't create this report, that means you won't even notice or you won't see how many, you won't be able to see the parameters that is working in the background. So it will only see within the last 30 minutes. But what about if you want to view records from way before? That would mean you won't be able to see that kind of record. So how do we set up? Now, what you should know is probably you won't see any events within the first day of creating a property. It's 13, and that was 6. So that was about like 7 days since the initial creation date. And I've been able to make so many events. You can see here, that's if we head over to my Glide dashboard, I've made a bunch of events already. That's why I'll probably have some events that we're able to see how it would look like. So now let's head over back to Google Analytics. So the first thing before you create a report, right, is you need to head over to admin. And what I want to create now is something called custom definitions. Now, custom definitions are parameters that we want to show in our report. Now, because our event was a custom event, which means it wasn't really from Google, like Google doesn't, so they don't have any definitions or dimensions for that particular event. So it's up to us. So if we make a custom event, you need to create some custom dimensions for that event or custom definitions for that event. So now we head over to custom definitions, and already I have two custom dimension made already, right? So you'd have to create yourself, and it's really just easy. You head over to create custom dimension. You just give it a random dimension name. Let's say you want to give this a new underscore breed, and the scope would be an event because we created an event property, and then you just give it a description, new breed. So you probably have to make that detail yourself. And event parameter will just be the parameter we use in our Google tags. That's over here. So that'll just be the property we use in this tag. And that was item brand and item category. And if we head over back to Google Analytics, you will probably see something like that. So over here now, we won't really see them anymore. That's item underscore brand and item underscore category. Mainly because I already created some properties or some definitions with that have taken those parameters. So in order for you to work with that, all you just have to do is you probably, so let us see how they are done. If we do select edit, you just have to write the dimension in that breed, event, and the breed of the pet. And you just have pass an event parameter that will be item underscore category, probably under the toggle. So we can't change that anymore. Once we've linked the definition, we can't edit that anymore. So that's just the basic idea on how to create dimensions. You have to create two definitions or two dimensions, one for the breed and the other for species. And once you're done, that's really all there is to it. Next, we head over to explore. Okay, and what we want to do now is to create a custom report. So you select this blank report. I'll just ignore this to here. Of course, I already have some custom reports because I've been testing myself. Now we select this add button, and we are going to add some dimensions first. So this is our own special report section. Okay, so we add dimension, and what we want to use is our custom dimension. Under custom here, we would search for breed and species. So we select breed and we select species, and we confirm. Okay, now we can find them here, and we're going to add some metric. We're going to add events count, add like we're counting how many times that event occurred. We're going to be event count, add that, and confirm. All right. Now, the next thing we want to do is to drag these dimensions to how we want them to be displayed. And for this use case, we're going to display them in a row. That'll be the pet breed and the pet species, then the event counts for that use case. So we're going to write that's under rows. Yeah, that's over here. We're going to drag species first, and then we drag the breed. Okay, and while under values, we're going to drag the event counts. So, yep, we have some data already running. Now, this is actually awesome and cool because this actual data. Now, probably if you have newly starting out, you really won't see any information because your container of property is really just new. So, like I said, you have to wait for about 2 days, and it's usually between going back and forth before you're actually sure in making a perfectly working Google report or a custom report. But if I just working with Google Analytics itself, it takes it takes a while or a bunch of time. Now, notice we have this kind of not set, and you go to like 360 now because this is just calling all the events. So we need to be able to filter this event to our own specific event type. And to do that, we're going to have to select to create a new dimension. We're going to add a dimension here, and that dimension will just be event name. Confirm. All right. And for event name here, I'll just drag that under filters. Okay. And where the event name exactly matches the event name we have over in our tag, and that's going to be test species. Exactly matches test species. That's over here. Then we just apply this filter. Okay. So this is our own exact filter. And you can see here we have so dog German Shepherd has been clicked about 4 times. We have rabbit Holland Lop has been clicked about 4 times. So that's all you could really see with your data. And you could call it, let's say we should call it testing 1. I thought this was testing underscore 1. So you could just name that anything you wish. But what we have here is just a complete list of um event that has been sent to Google Analytics. And let's say you wish to view everything, you just have to select show rows, and let's just say you want to show the rows, probably like 500 rows, right? And this is really what. So now, if you do see not set, this could mean a lot of things, but it's like something is not set properly, but it doesn't really affect the output of these events, of all these events that has been made over here. All right, and that's all there is to it in creating custom reports. Now you're probably asking, how do I view my data in Excel, or do I view my data in somewhere else, right? Because I can't be going to Google Analytics every single time. I'm guessing you're probably asking that. And don't worry, I've got you. Like, and that's what we're going to use to conclude this video. So over here now, I am in Google Sheets, and what I have here is my event automated here already. And this was done with an extension, right? So there are actually various ways you could get your reports. So anywhere you want, if you are trying to write a report to a Google Sheet, all you just need is a Google Sheet extension that would allow this to communicate evenly. So while if you are trying to get it to a different platform, then you want to use something like Make or Zapier. And if you are trying to, let's say, work with okay, let's say you don't want to use either of these, but you just want to view it in a Looker Studio. That would mean you're already familiar with how Looker Studio work, and you can build stuff yourself there. Then you could also view your data in a Looker Studio. But for this use case, or for this tutorial, I'm just going to show you how to get the data from Google Analytics into a Google Sheet. So how do we do that? First thing is you want to get a new extension. And this is completely free, by the way. I mean, that's until probably they add some payment um, paywall behind that. Now, here is the report that we got previously, or here's the report that we got from that specific event. And I want to show you how to create this yourself with a free extension. So you head over here to a new Google Sheet, and I'm going to call this test 2 to just know where we are. Test 2 or test show Philip scale. All right, now we want to install a new extension, and that's going to be add-ons, sorry, an add-on rather, and I'll be get an add-on. All right, so the add-on we want to get would be, it's going to be analytics. All right, so this is the add-on we're working with. That's going to be sync with Google Analytics add-on. Just select that. I'm going to select install. Then I'll just like make some regular authentication. Yeah, and so that's all with the authentication aspects. Installed, okay, done. And once we're done here, we just run the extension, right? Now I'm going to select extension again, and this is new extension or add-on that's been installed. So we just select launch sidebar. Then the sidebar will probably come up, and this is where we set everything up. So previously I already connected to Google Analytics. That's for that for the use case I made right now. So mine has been connected to GA4 already, but you could also connect yours. And really, all you just have to do, let's say I wish to connect to another account, you just take me to a new screen. Like here, I select this value, and I select continue. Already connected. I'll just select continue once more, and it's connected, right? Yeah. Okay. So I'll just select Google Analytics V4. That's version 4. Okay. Now, what kind of event do we want to call? We could just title our reports, right? We could just give this as a test show Phillips here. All right. And we select the kind of property we're trying to work with. And the property we're working with is actually called test Phillips scale, as you know. We select that. And yeah, so that's the only property we want to use. We aren't calling any other aside from that. And let's say we want to call events, let's say all time, right? And fields would be, so this is where we add our metrics and dimension. So let's search for dimensions first. And as you know, in our previous scene, dimensions we used were called custom dimension. And custom dimension only include the breed and the species. So that have to be set up there first. So you select breed and select species. Now we also want to make another custom and another metric. This time it will just be metric. I'm going to select metrics, and I want to search for events counts. I does this. All right, so we'll just select apply, and that's all there is to that. Sort, we want to sort by events count. Order will be ascending, that's from highest to lowest. So that's from lowest to highest. And dimension filter is going to be events name. All right, so event name would equal the event name we add over here. That's going to be Google tag, and that's going to be the species. We'll head over back to our sheet. We'll just write the species here. You could also view that from your Google Analytics section over here. That's the species here. Read back, and metric filters would actually be none, and that's all there is to it. Row limit would be, let's say we don't want to have any row limits. Then select next, and probably the scheduling should be done, let's say daily. At, you could set a time, and insert row. We say you want to insert it on this main screen we are on. That's current selected cell. We select insert. Oh, I selected here. Probably it's start from here, but really it's supposed to start from here. Okay, so that was my bad. We should have started from here, but I'm sure you do get the idea. You just have to select your current sheet to this section over here. But this is how it would all look like. You can see it is actually valid, and the same thing we have in our Google Analytics reports over here. All right, yeah, and that's all there is to it. So we just select back, and I think we're basically done with this section. Now, like I said, you could view this in Looker Studio, or you could make some kind of make and Zapier. You could just send the data directly to your app, to your Google Sheet, or really through any platform which you're currently using. And that's all there is for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and please do hit the subscribe and like button. Have a wonderful time. Wow, that was actually really long. Bye. Okay. Yeah, and just in case if I forgot, if you do need help building your own Glide apps, please do reach out to my LinkedIn. Probably it's in the description. You could just email me, but I'll also leave that on the screen. Have a good time.